There are a bunch of Week 16 games that have massive playoff implications. And this one technically does with the Green Bay Packers. They're sitting at 6-8 here. They're a game back from multiple teams. They're at 7-7, but several teams away from the seventh wild card spot, which is currently held by the Los Angeles Rams. They fly to Charlotte to play the Carolina Panthers, who are trying to start what is called a winning streak down in Carolina. All thanks because they beat my Falcons. So yeah, I made a joke, and then now you can roast me in the comments for beating us. And so you're welcome. You guys can have Desmond Ridder if you want. But going up here against this Packers team, they also are coming off a tough loss here where Baker Mayfield was the first quarterback to have a perfect game in Lambeau Field and played phenomenally, 34-20 victory. Was he the overall quarterback or just the first visiting quarterback? I thought it was overall quarterback to have a perfect game in Lambeau. That's what I thought.
I don't remember.
If you could quickly double check that for me. But this game, though, Packers, great win against the Bears to start week one, but then had a long lull, so to say, of just tough. They had one victory in between all that, but then some tough losses, some tough performances. I will say, though, even if they don't make the playoffs, I personally have seen enough where I think Matt LaFleur is doing a good job as a head coach of growing this team, especially growing this young talent and getting them playing good football. I think Jordan Love is controlling the offense well, and especially to his first full time as a starter, definitely worth. I think all those guys worth bringing back next year, especially with how weak that this offensive line has been. They've been dealing with injuries to some key players, Christian Watson and Aaron Jones. And Ryan, I'll segue it over to you here, but I want to see were you able to find that answer?
It doesn't say if he was the first or not. It just says he recorded a perfect passer rating.
I will look it up here in a second. I want to see just your overall thoughts kind of on the Packers team so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people were calling for Jordan Love to be released and Matt LaFleur to be fired there after the first few games, but they really turned it up here late. They had a bad loss to the Giants where I think they just kind of underestimated the team, and then that defense showed up and hit them in the mouth, and they didn't really respond well. Also, I think this offense there's a night and day difference when Christian Watson is on the field versus when he's not. He is the gas that this engine runs on, I think, and yeah, they really need his dynamism out there on the field. And I think for the most part in the second half of the season, I think we've really seen Jordan Love kind of find his groove. We were just saying this before we went live. His stat line on the year is actually pretty good. He's probably going to be a 4,000-yard passer. He has 3,368 yards at the moment, 25 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. And so he'll probably end up somewhere around 4,000 with 30 touchdowns and maybe 14 picks, which, I mean, you want to see fewer picks than that, but hey, 30 touchdowns and 4,000 yards of passing offense. Yeah, you'll take a quarterback that can do that in the NFL. So especially in a division that's as competitive as this one, because I think the Bears might be eliminated, but they're playing really well right now. And like the other two teams are definitely in playoff contention. So,
So I agree, and especially too over what we've seen in the past couple of weeks with Watson has been healthy this entire year. Potentially, what could have happened with this offense and just the overall growth of this entire offense. Same thing though as well. Aaron Jones hasn't played, and that's where I'm really excited to look forward to the 2024 season and our season recaps and then off-season predictions and mock drafts. And that's where I think the running back class is nowhere near as exciting as it was last year. But there's still some good guys and some good talent. I think like the Packers could go get with their second round pick, go get Trey Benson or maybe Trayvon Henderson, and guys that could fit seamlessly into this offense. And with this young, growing, explosive offense, as we've seen Jaden Reed do really well, that Tavian Wicks now doing really well. Tucker Kraft is coming on strong as well. Mm-hmm. And then, as you mentioned with Christian Watson, does Puka Nacua and Christian Watson, do they have I feel like they have a similar style of game, just both super quick, great route running, and they can create their own separation. Is that kind of
I would say no. Puka Nacua is like 6'2", 200, and he wins on route nuances and And that where Christian Watson is much more of like your traditional X. He's 6'3", 6'4", 210. Ran a 4.38, I believe, at the combine, and he wins a lot with physicality and then his long speed over certain parts of the field. He does like, and that's not to say he's like a Martavis Bryant where you're going to throw 3 jump balls to him as he sprints down the field to every game, because they do run him on jet sweeps and everything in between. I just think it's a different style of receiver. Puka Nacua is more of a traditional possession guy, whereas Christian Watson is like a true X.
Well, that's what I've seen, because they both seem so quick and how they're both able to create their own separation. It was the one, I guess I should say, does Puka Nacua remind you more of Christian Watson or not? Because since Nacua is the rookie. That's where I love, it's going to be fun seeing both of those guys develop here, because they're both so quick. They both can create their own separation, and they both can just make cornerbacks throughout the league just look silly. And so it's going to be fun seeing those guys go up against one another, especially as the Packers team gets better and this Rams team stays in playoff contention as well. Because I bring that up as well because the Rams, they're 7th seed right now, so they're going to be contending with one another. So actually, and let me go and even see their schedules here. Packers are playing Panthers here this week. Should be easier victory. Then they play the Vikings, who's also a wild card team, and then the Bears in week 18, which is also technically still a wild card team, but also a divisional team. That'll be fun to go and see them play. While the Rams have the Saints, and then they play the Giants and then the Niners. So the Rams are definitely going to want to win these next 2 games, so they don't have to worry about the Packers potentially going on a 3-game hot streak and overtaking them. So it's going to be very interesting. Let's get in our predictions here. I mean, we're both going with the Packers here. Is there anything you really think the Panthers can do? I think the thing for me, the Packers just need to make sure that their Panthers defense doesn't dominate their Packers offensive line. I think that's like the one element to success there for me. And at the same time, trying to keep Chuba Hubbard and that running game in check as well.
Well, yeah, and if Christian Watson doesn't play, I think that exposes the Packers to heavier boxes and things, because you don't have to respect that true outside number 1 guy. Because he doesn't have the stats for it this year, but I mean, he is that guy. Like he is that good when he's on the field. But the only thing that I can really think of is if Carolina can somehow play in another torrential downpour, and just completely take the passing game out of,
make it a running game.
Yeah, and
that's why the Falcons lost.
Well, it didn't help, but
no, I'm just joking.
Yeah, like that to me, I think is the only way that the Panthers really have like a legitimate chance at winning. That's not off of a fluky defensive score or something along those lines. Just because I think this Packers offense is going to be too explosive. They have things to play for, whereas like the Panthers, I think they have things to play for, because I mean they're not even playing for a first round draft pick, right? Like they're literally just playing for
the 33rd overall pick.
Yeah, 33rd overall, like pride at this point. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I just unless they can make revolutionary strides in their passing offense this week, then no, I don't really see a chance for them.
Yeah. Same.
So let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. Tyler and I were both taking the Packers. So if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and help us reach our goal of getting to 2,333 subscribers. We know that's a unique number, but that would put us at 2,000 subscribers in a calendar year. And while you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on how much you think the Packers are going to win by. Other than that, we will see you guys next time.